Relegation's a horrible thing, isn't it? And we want to know who gets relegated from League One into League Two this season. I've brought some recruits along to help find us some value here in We Love Betting. Nick Watts and Marco here from Sportingbet. Boys, relegation, before we go in, I'll just say that the favourites at the moment are Portsmouth, of course, were -10, the point deduction, of course, it might not even exist by the time this goes to press, who knows. And then we've got Walsall and Yeovil next in the bet. And Nick, I'll start with you. What's your best bet in this League One relegation market?
Well, obviously Portsmouth have made this a bit of a strange market. Their odds on at the moment are the way things stand, and obviously with the points deduction in mind. And that does obviously reduce it by one, but there's still 4 spots, remember, for relegation, so you can understand why it's wide open. I was actually looking at Crewe, which won't be a very fashionable pick. They're 3-1 with Will Hill to be relegated, and I just feel like that price has been inflated by the good feeling about this club. They went on this long unbeaten run to get out of League Two. 19 games I think it was, stretching into the playoffs, and obviously Nick Powell grabbed a load of headlines, and they're a very popular sort of team because they're young, and it was a great story. But ultimately they only got 72 points in League Two last year, and prior to that unbeaten run, which did include an awful lot of draws, they'd lost I think 14 games before that. I just feel like it's a young squad, it's fragile from a confidence point of view, and if that run comes to an end, and it will come to an end, you know, how are they going to recover from that? Are they going to have the resources to put things right? We saw how tough it was for the likes of Chesterfield and Wickham. Chesterfield obviously took League Two somewhat by storm the previous season, and on paper were a much better side going into a League One season than Crewe are, and yet you can get 3-1. They're at a bigger price than an awful lot of teams, so a touch of value there for me.
Oh yeah, so it's a really good point for Nick on Crewe, most definitely. Mark, where's your best bet in this section?
I think it's quite tough because Nick's already touched on it. 4 teams go down, so immediately the prices come down. Portsmouth are in there, so again it comes down further. And I'm going to be really dull, boring, and straight to the point and just say Walsall. Why? Because they're the Wigan of League One. Twice now they've had terrible seasons and just survived by the skin of their teeth. How, I don't know. I still can't find the answers. But one of the reasons why they did last year was because of Emmanuel Ledesma, a creative midfielder, beautiful technical Argentinian who came over and played for QPR for a couple of months. He was so good, we even had T-shirts printed in the club shop. He was that good. People bought them, they were sporting him around. He scored a hat-trick for us, then he just went off the radar, went back to Italy, came back, and he just lit up Walsall. He was absolutely fantastic for them. And he's gone now. He's gone to Middlesbrough, they snapped him up, and the creative force has gone. There's nothing really there to grab onto. I don't really like them as a club. I think they're terrible, they're boring, and it's time for them to go down to the 4th tier. Sorry.
Walsall for Mark. If you're a Walsall fan, I do apologise. He's had a bad day. Nick, anything else in this section? 4 spots, like we say, go down, so plenty of other scope here to find some value. What have we found?
Well, unfortunately, I can't talk about any beautiful Argentinians. It's always nice to do that. But this is a market that excites me for reasons looking at a recent history. Being a Southend boy, as I mentioned, they were a bit of a shock to go down a few years ago, and it got me thinking what kind of prices were available for the sides that have gone down the last few years. You could have got 9-2 for Rochdale and 5-1 for Chesterfield last year to go down. Okay, the year before Dagenham and Redbridge were the 15-8 favourites and they went down, but you could have got 6-1 for Bristol Rovers and 12-1 for Swindon, and albeit with extenuating circumstances, Plymouth were also 12-1 as well. So some huge prices there. I looked up Southend. It's a bit of a dubious source, but somebody was suggesting to me that 22-1 was available for Southend to go down that year. It did seem a bit of a big price, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was the high teens at least.
Yes.
They'd been in the playoffs the season before, and the answer is money. This is the big question, and it's about looking for clubs that could financially implode, end up with that 10 points being docked, or just struggle, you know, having to sell players and being left with U-team players. And for me, going down that road, Coventry are the obvious choice. They're an enormous price at 14-1 to go down with William Hill. It's a horrible thing to think of, really, because you always think of them early Premier League years, the battling survivors, a lot going for the club, but they don't even own their own ground. It's shared between the council and a local charity. They don't make any money from all the sponsorship and events that go on there. And you know, their only real income is the gate receipts, and frankly they're getting less and less crowds every year, so I can see them getting into trouble again here and having successive promotions It's a bit of a punt, but 14 to 1, that's got to be worth a bet, isn't it?
I think he's convinced me. 14-1. It's all doom and gloom in Coventry, definitely, isn't it? And Mark, can you match that? Can you match that 14-1?
Not a chance.
What have you got for us?
I like those points, Nick. Very good. Mine's pretty dull again. It's Bury. Poor old Bury. Bit of a topsy-turvy campaign last year, wasn't it? They sort of started quite well, had a bit of a rough patch, changed managers, and Richie Barker took over and just sort of saw them over the line, even though the season was pretty much done with. He's just this week actually left to join Crawley. I don't think that's the best preparation for a club like Bury, who probably need that summertime to recover, look at their finances, look at the squad, just see what they've got coming up for the season ahead. And I do think with one of the smallest budgets in the league, one of the smallest squads as well, the smallest grounds, the smallest fan base, it all sort of adds up, and I think they're teetering on the edge. And I was quite surprised to see them sort of 6th, 7th down in the betting list for relegation. So for me, it's got to be Bury. I think it's nothing like a 14-1 shot, but I think they're likely to be at least in the bottom 6, if not the bottom 4.
They're a kind of team you associate with the 4th tier, really. Bury, I think you made a good point there, Mark, and it could be at a time in League One. It comes to an end this season. Who knows? We're wrapping it up, boys. Very quickly, your bet in the relegation League One section.
If I was feeling frisky enough, I would certainly have a few quid on Coventry to go down. But yeah, Crew for me, 3-1 to go down.
Walsall nailed on for relegation.